Craig Martelle, welcome back to the podcast. It seems like you were just here in that yellow sweatshirt.
Hey, great to be on. It's the same day recording, so I
It's
don't wear this every
it's
day,
like
as
two
far as you
minutes
know.
2 minutes after we recorded the Tom Dublin show. But this is for a different book. This is for the fifth book in the Nightwalker series, which is coming out today. And before we get started, I want to know how much time you spent coming up with the titles for this series.
It was intense. I usually use a murder board approach where I have a number of people and we bounce ideas back and forth. And initially, it was the Windows approach. It was Nightwalker 95, then Nightwalker 6, and then Nightwalker Platinum, and then Nightwalker 5.
Uh-huh.
So after talking back and forth and realizing that probably wasn't going to work, even though it might have worked for like a major corporation, that we just went with Nightwalker 1 through 5 because Frank had titled these books.
Mm-hmm.
He had titles on the first two, but 3 was untitled, 4 was untitled, and I'm like, geez, I don't know what you were thinking, Frank, so I don't know. And we went back to 1 and said, let's just do it Nightwalker 1, like we did with Super Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm. And so Frank, you mentioned Frank. Frank is Frank Roderus. He's the one who wrote the first 4. Did he write all of the first 4 books?
He wrote 3.5 books.
3.5 books. You were involved then a little bit in the 4th book, and really involved in the 5th book and going forward. So this is something that's not just a little different for you, it's completely different for you.
It is. It's post-apocalyptic. Hey, Craig knows post-apocalyptic, but Craig doesn't know Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Roderus was a very successful Western author. And after he passed away, they found these 4 books on his computer that had never been sold, never been broached. And there they were, post-apocalyptic, but written Western style,
Mm-hmm.
in the folksy, conversational tone with the upright 1880s honor sheriff, and it was different. So it required some study. So I actually been reading Louis L'Amour's Zane Grey to make sure I understand that tone. I wrote about a third of book 4 to finish it up, and then I wrote book 5. There were no notes. It was just like Frank wrote up to one point and just stopped writing. There weren't any extra notes like, hey, here's what I'd like to do with this one, and here's where I'd like to see the series arc. No, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote book 5 completely. Wrote that completely. I took a week is all it took to write book 5. So I'm scheduling like a week to write books 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
We'll make this an 8-book series.
So and for people know that you're a fast writer, but these are not like 80,000 word books. These are shortish books.
Yes. 25 to 30,000 words. Yes.
Okay. What's sort of the storyline? You mentioned post-apocalyptic, but what's sort of the storyline for the series?
The storyline is a man, an over-the-road truck driver. There's a nuclear war. He sees the bombs coming. He escapes. He gets into an old mine shaft, and he hides there as the world tries to destroy itself. And he stays underground and in Frank's books, he went anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. So we embraced the 2-year point because of things that happened elsewhere in the stories. So 2 years he was underground, living on what was in his truck at the time, like protein bars or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes out, and when he comes out, he can't see in the daylight. Ergo, Nightwalker. He can see perfectly fine at night. His eyes have changed. His hair is your color, Snow White. But he's 30, well, exactly like
yes,
you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's almost identical. Yes.
And he's super strong. So something with the water or something in the mine, he doesn't know, and we don't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Just that he's strong. He can see at night. He can't see in the daytime, and his hair's white, and his hair doesn't grow on his face anymore, so he doesn't shave or anything like that. But then he's trying to get home. He's in Idaho, and trying to get home to his family in Florida, wondering if they're still alive. So that's the whole premise, is him trying to cross the United States. There's hot zones, the red zones, where there's still nuclear radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And also he gets the tingle so he can feel the radiation. And then there's the clear zones, which aren't radioactive. And the clear zones are run by Federal Command, a governmental entity that took place after the government and all the rest of the United States was destroyed by nuclear weapons. Path through the United States, and he's trying to find his way back to Bradenton, Florida, which is where his family is
Hmm.
or was when the nuclear weapons fell. So, so these are the stories of him going from red zone to clear zone to red zone to clear zone, trying to get home, and that's the premise, and it really goes back to honor. So it fits very well with the Kurtherian Gambit universe because he's trying to be a man of honor in a world that has none. The red zone is just a complete free for all. Anything rapists, murderers, they do whatever they want
Hmm.
because everybody's trying to survive.
And Frank passed away in 2015.
15, yeah.
2015. You mentioned that he was a very popular Western writer. He had twice won the Spur Award, which is a big award in the Western world, and he was also a journalist for years. Which is I don't know. I tend to really like books that come from people who grew up in journalism.
Like Martha Carr, she was a
Yes,
journalist.
like Martha Carr. Yes, exactly. So do you feel like you captured the folksy voice that Frank had?
I did my best, and I tweaked things because I wasn't getting there exactly like I wanted to,
Hmm.
but it's a little bit different than my usual style. It's somewhere in between Frank and my voice. One thing Frank did was he didn't use contractions, which it can lengthen sentences and make them seem a little cumbersome.
Yes.
So I did reintroduce some contractions in dialogue in book five, whereas the normal narrative I tried to keep them out of the narrative section.
Do you have
Something like that.
an expected publication schedule for the rest of the series? Like one a month or something like that?
I'll write a Nightwalker in between the other volumes that I'm writing because the next up I'm finishing a nonfiction book called Collaborations now, and then I'm writing Super Dreadnought 6. We
Good.
lost our co-author on that, so I have to write that personally.
Hmm.
So I'll write Super Dreadnought 6. That'll take 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'll write Nightwalker 6, and then I'll write Executioner 7, and then I'll write Nightwalker 7. Then I'll write probably Executioner 8,
And
and then
for
Nightwalker 8.
people who don't know Craig's jargon, that's judge, jury, and executioner. He always just refers to it as executioner, but people who just
Yeah.
see the books think of them as judge, jury, and executioner.
Yes, Rivka, the space lawyer.
Yes, those
I
are
love that
those
series,
are
man.
fun books, and they're being recovered right now.
Oh my goodness, the artwork is just eye-popping. I think it's the best out of any books that I have.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool. I just uploaded the new covers for book one, and so it's going to be cool to see what that does for the series. But that's a really
Cool.
fun series. So Nightwalker 5 comes out today. If you haven't started on the series yet, what was the title of the first one again, Craig?
It was Nightwalker 1, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I think that was it. So we trust that you'll be able to work your way through the series in order by title. But if you have read the first four and you've been looking forward to 5, it's available now at Amazon and through Kindle Unlimited. So Craig Martelle, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for continuing the Rotorus series. That's exciting stuff.
Oh, sure, sure. And also that the revenue from that goes to Frank gets a cut on a certain cut on the portions. I mean, the ones that I wrote in entirety,
Hmm.
he gets a lesser cut, but still it goes to his family.
Yes.
Once again, supporting the family, and this back to back. We're doing these are the only two that we're doing these for is Tom Dublin and Frank Roters. So please support us. Pick up the books, read them, and hopefully enjoy them. And if you do like them, drop us a review. Thank you.
Yes, those reviews are the lifeblood for indie authors. So sales and reviews. So buy them, read them, and write a review. That's great. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Steve.